Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder. And on today's show, our first segment, we're going to examine the gardening trends for 2025. We've been doing that the last few weeks. What's going to be hot in the vegetable garden and what vegetables you're going to want to grow this year in our first segment. One of our interactive listeners, Maryanne from North Jersey, called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and brought a little bit of spring to a bitterly cold January. Hear her call in our second segment. How are your houseplants doing? They're anything like mine. They're looking a little stressed. I actually brought my house plants too. I bought a poinsettia that I've been hanging on to, and I also brought a peace lily. And you're going to get to see what they look like if you're looking on YouTube. Did you know that you can subscribe to us on YouTube? And please ring that bell. We'd appreciate that. In our fourth segment, we received a call from a listener who shared his watering schedule on his houseplants, which also includes cactus. Listen in during our fourth segment. And our final segment, another trend for 2025 is lived-in gardens. I like this one. It's where you can put things that look like they're old. Not new, not faded, but just old. Concrete statues are a great thing where they get a little bit of moss on them. They're looking a little bit older, or something that you've made. It's something that will just kind of fit and kind of be hidden but seen. Does that make any sense? If not, we'll explain in our last segment. So we're going to be right back in the garden right after these messages.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. You know, 2025 is going to be an interesting year because finally we get some, I guess, brave souls that are actually listing varieties of vegetables that are going to be hot in the vegetable garden. And I'm not talking about hot peppers. I'm just going to be They're going to be desired. And I have seen nasturtiums mentioned everywhere, in every article and everything. Nasturtiums are an edible plant, and that they're mostly grown for flowers. I don't know if like a Trader Joe's or something like that would actually sell nasturtium flowers, but they can be frozen, they can be added to salads and things like this. They even have, you can eat any part of them, really, even the seeds, that they have like a peppery taste. And that it's one of those things. It just is, again, part of that foraging trend that we talked about last week, and it's all about that edible garden. So in warmer climates, they're perennial, not so much here. They may reseed. The flower colors are everything from yellows to oranges and different shades. But another benefit, so forget about if you're not going to eat them, they attract bees and birds and butterflies, and that it's just a good plant that is easy to grow for your garden. And again, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. And that a lot of times that they are in a climbing section where, whether there's some annuals, because they generally have a tendency to weep over. So they do climb a little bit. So again, keep that in mind. There's not going to be just like a marigold where it's self-supporting. So other things in your garden, this one surprised me, but we sold them last year, is peanuts. Peanuts. We sold them. We had them from plants from Chef Jeff, which is from Centerton Nursery, our friends over there. And that they evidently, you need to roast them. And, well, you know what peanuts are for, You can shell them, dry them, roast them, snacking on them. You can make homemade peanut butter. But it's just interesting because most people think, where do they grow? They grow under the ground. Almost, not like a potato, but kind of like a potato, where when you pull up the roots, that's where the peanuts are. So it's something that you can, some peanut lovers prefer breaking I guess it's peanut, it's a nut or a seed. All right, Aaron, there you go. Challenge you.
I would say it is because
it's not necessarily a nut.
I would say it's a seed. It's kind of like the same thing as a pea, like a string bean.
But it's not. But it grows below ground.
It does.
It's like a root.
I mean,
so
I don't know.
I don't know. Seed.
I would say
they're
more
always
of
going to be peanuts.
It's like a peas in a pod thing, wouldn't it? Like
peas are above ground, though.
But
Peanuts
I
are
mean,
legumes?
it's still the
a
concept.
legume.
Legumes, that's what they are.
Yeah, very good. Wow,
Fun
wow.
fact.
Go Sam.
Thanks. Jeopardy. Lots of
Sam's
Jeopardy.
working the wrong
Lots of
job.
Jeopardy. I don't know. Maybe he's learning that from Mike Missinelli.
But that's another show, guys.
Yeah, that's another show. That's right.
Literally.
So, again, it's something new, something different, something you probably have never thought about doing. But you can start finding those plants at your local garden center. Ask for them. Ask for Chef Jeff peanuts. It's something that would be just fun to do. There are some vegetables that are just like, weird, like turnips. I don't know many people that grow turnips, but we sell an awful lot of turnip plants, so somebody's doing it. Here's another one, bush tomato beefy purple. Now, why is that a thing? Well, let me just explain. Beefy purple is a luscious beef bush type tomato that forms red and green stripes on it. Personally, to me, who is someone who asks for no tomatoes when he eats something, how do you know they're ripe without squeezing the dickens out of it? And you're trying to squeeze it. You kind of just let them get to that by the firmness of the fruit without sticking your fingers in it. Do you remember that commercial, Aaron? See, you're young. Where's Julio when I need him? Where it used to be the don't squeeze the Charmin, and the weird guy that was a grocer would squeeze the Charmin. No, anyway, Those of you out there,
No clue.
please back me up, okay? Out there in Bloomers Nation, call in if you remember Mr. Whipple, who used to squeeze the Charmin. Anyway, it was toilet paper.
I mean, I know Charmin with the bear. That's
today.
Yeah.
I'm going back probably like when I was a kid.
Oh, God bless you.
Oh, keep it up. Keep it up. You're quickly joining me. Those kids of yours making you old.
Expeditiously.
But the thing is, you can't squeeze the tomatoes and then bruise them because you'll have a bruise mark if they're not ready. Any case, the thing about this, it's a bush type tomato, and when we talk about tomatoes later on in the year, we're going to talk about determinate varieties. This is a determinate variety. It has a determinate size that it will get to. Indeterminate keeps on growing. It grows all season. It could be 10 feet tall, and that you get tomatoes all throughout the summer. With a determinate type, it's a bush type, doesn't get real big. It's perfect for container gardens, but it does reach a limit where it'll stop producing tomatoes. So it'll be a nice little sized plant, and you'll keep getting tomatoes from it until it's basically done. And trust me, you'll know when that is, because we get people that say, how come my tomatoes aren't producing anymore? And it's because they're a determinate variety and they're done. An oldie but a goodie for the garden, sweet banana peppers. I was surprised to see this on the list because this was introduced in 1941. Sweet banana peppers we've been selling since I can remember. But the one thing is that they are sweet, and that it's great for pickling, and it has an immensely sweet and fresh taste, even when cooked and in recipes. I could guess it would be considered an heirloom variety. Grows from seed, or get the plants. Save yourself some time if you want to, but keep in mind that every pack of seeds has like 100 seeds in it. You want 100, sweet banana peppers. If you buy the plants will be at your local garden center for sure. The plants are a nice size. They don't get real big. They're not a bush per se, but they will hold their crop. And then you just pick them when they're yellow, or that they actually can turn a little bit to an orange. It can get an orange, even a little bit of red in them. It may have a little bit more flavor. I don't know, but they're supposed to be banana peppers. So you're supposed to start picking them when they're yellow, right before they reach that yellow stage. Here's another one, and I love this one. There's more to squash than zucchini, right? Sam, that's what Mike Missinelli on The Fanatic was talking about, zucchini. Let them grow too big in the garden. Well, you got to tell them about growing summer yellow squash, acorn squash. Acorn squash, to me, it's a fall crop, so it will take up a large area of your garden, but it's got a savory, decadent, sweet flavor in that you just put a little bit of butter on it, and it just fluff it up with a fork, a little salt and pepper, and man, you've got a meal. And it's not like you're eating potatoes or eating all carbs. This is like true vegetable. Another one. Gourd loofah. Yeah, loofahs.
Good Lord.
Yeah, loofahs. Like,
Loofah, what I use to
buy your own shower stuff.
Yeah, to wash with?
Yeah. So you replace those plastic loofahs, right? You know what? This is a Mike Missinelli thing. Mike Missinelli, he went and had a thing where he was asking his callers if they use a washcloth or a loofah, and he was like tearing them up if they used a washcloth. Anyway,
I use
just
both.
Saying, you could ask him if he remembers that. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I use both.
Tell him he can grow his own loofah.
Out of gourd?
Yeah. No, so what you do is you grow, it's a squash, and you
Right.
and you let it grow, and you can eat it while it's small, but as it gets big, it ends up looking like a fibrous sponge. I mean, you've seen them in stores. And it's all natural, organic, as long as you don't spray it, and so they could be a foot long, and then they use them as sponges. Like you've seen natural sponges from the ocean, right? And the loofahs you've absolutely have seen, because you can tell, because as where the holes were in the loofah that you see that's natural, those are where the seeds and such were.
I'd imagine, though, you have to use good soap if you're going to use that.
No.
You can't use the dollar store body wash, man. It's going to disintegrate.
It's going to disintegrate your skin, too. But no, you can do that. So, like, growing your own loofah, I mean, I'm not a washcloth person. I just am not. Washcloth? Anybody? We'll do
I use it for my face.
Washcloth loofah.
Loofah.
Good for you.
I use the washcloth for my face. That's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a loofah.
Yeah.
I'm a loofah. So I have not grown my own loofah. I am still on that in natural plastic thing from China. Watch, right? I still swear they're putting stuff in it. Anyway.
Yeah.
But again, growing your own sponges, that's pretty cool. A lot of good things for the garden this year. So many people, including the call we have coming up, everybody's growing in container gardens. And that the container gardens, by using determinate varieties of tomatoes, it doesn't take up the space of a sprawling tomato. So it's one thing that looking for interesting things to grow, look for those things that are smaller plants. And again, it's time to start dreaming about your garden. We're going to hear all about that in our second segment coming up. So we'll be right back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Espoma Indoor Houseplant Food is the ultimate all-purpose plant food for growing bigger houseplants with healthy green foliage and beautiful blooms. Its rich blend of natural proteins enhanced with kelp extracts, humic acid, and Espoma's proprietary set of beneficial microbes. And because it's made in Espoma's state-of-the-art, solar-powered manufacturing facility, its quality is guaranteed. Espoma liquid houseplant food is ideal for pothos, palms, fiddle-leaf figs, monstera, and more. Just add half a cap in a quart of water and use every 2 to 4 weeks. An 8-ounce bottle makes up to 24 quarts. Feeds instantly and adds beneficial microbes. 100% natural and organic. Safe for people, pets, and the planet. Visit your local independent garden center and select from Espoma's entire line of Espoma liquid plant foods. Cactus food, orchid food, African violet food, tomato food, super bloom booster, and more.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks, Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len. He's Aaron. We got a new guy, Shane. Wave. He's behind glass. And Sam's there. Are you managing? Is that what you're doing, Sam?
Trying, yeah.
Trying? Yeah. All right. See if you don't, get this guy to quit. Anyway, Maryanne called. Sweet lady. She called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline, and she was excited about spring, which was great because it brought a little sunshine into a bitterly cold day. And she asked about planting tomatoes. Here's her call.
Hi, this is Maryanne Delaferra. I'm calling with a question about planting tomatoes in a garden bed, a cedar planter. I know it's a little early, but my brain's in spring mode. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
I love that. I love that. Maryanne and I talked. We talked for probably almost an hour. And that we talked about Julio leaving and that he's retired and that just about her garden, about how her and her husband listen on Classic Oldies 1250 MTR up in the New York metropolitan area. So last year, she raised veggies in 5-gallon food grade buckets. So, just a, spackling bucket kind of thing, but a food grade one. Kind of you see like pickles come in. Anybody? No? Aaron's shaking his head. No. Yes? No?
Not below. I don't know, man. You're saying a lot of stuff that has probably been.
I'm sorry. I'm showing my
over
age.
my age, man.
It's gonna be. I sometimes you pretend to know. And that makes me feel better.
I try.
Yeah.
I try.
You wait till I get talking about my clothes in the next section.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, so what she did is she had them, and that they grew okay. But again, it's not a big area, and what if you're growing beans? I mean, we're going to grow a little bouquet of beans in a 5-gallon bucket. That's not going to work. So she asked about growing in a cedar raised bed, which is fine. I suggest making your own, but she wants to put it on her deck. So you worry about drainage, you worry about things like that. And we talked about how deep. So if you have a raised bed, how deep do you need to put it if you're putting it, say, on the back patio? Like if the back patio, you've got to have at least 18 inches of soil so that you're not cooking the roots of the plants on the back patio and it's not just going dry. So you got to have at least 18 inches. I suggested there's a Veggie Garden. Veggie Garden is a raised bed that's made out of like a powder-coated corrugated steel. It's round. There are different sizes, and it's got like a 20-year lifespan. That is going to need some drainage as well, but it's something that it's easy to assemble. It looks neat and clean. It's not going to, where cedar's going to turn gray, this is going to hold its color. And it's something that we carry at Bloomers. You can find them online. So it's VEGO Garden. So it's something it's a great idea. And there are different sizes, different depths. So it's even like the ones that we have at Bloomers are a nice size where they have a solar light so that if you go out at night and need to grab a few tomatoes or something, that there's a little light there so you're able to see. And they're big enough to where you can do rows of beans and things like that. And there's also, you can do multiple because they have deals where you can buy 3 of a size and have multiple raised gardens rather than just one. And again, that's Veggie Garden. Again, it they make a point of it that they don't have to cut down trees. Whatever. I don't know if that's a selling point. Quality products for sure. And again, they're modular, so you can kind of nest them together. Another one that we carried for years is VeggiePod. VeggiePod is a raised garden bed for outdoor gardens. They come in a stand, and they have something unique where it has like a cover that you can pull it over top of the plants. Now, I'm not talking about over top like a say a window shade. I'm talking about it has a great big mounded cover so the plants can get tall and you still can cover it. And within there is a irrigation system that you just hook up to the hose, and you can just water it with, just a turn of the spigot. It's a great idea because there's a well that holds the water so that plants can access it, and it's raised so that you don't have to bend over to harvest. Great idea. It's Vegepod, VEGEPOD, and great idea. And again, you can make your own. Again, it just needs to be 15 to 18 inches deep. It has to be secure and not to where it's not going to bow out on you. So either you got to put something to tie it inside, or if it's outside on the lawn or somewhere where you can put a stake in, you've got no problem. But if, like, for instance, Maryanne wants to do it on her deck, she needs to have it so that the middle doesn't bow out because she has no support. So just something to think about. So she needs to maybe put something in to tie it all in. But again, I prefer her application, the Veggie Garden. Veggie Garden, to me, would be the best thing. But again, she's got to remember, she's got to work on that drainage issue. I assume she's putting it on a wood deck, or maybe like a tech type of deck, but the good thing is it can be different sizes. It doesn't have to be 3 foot wide. It can be, say, 2 foot wide. So it's not going to take up that much room. So take a look at those, Maryanne, and I think that it's a good idea. Make sure that the soil that you're using is for container gardens. There is so many, like Coast of Maine has one that's specifically, it's a Castine blend that's specifically for raised beds. Same thing, use bumper crop. You can use a mixture of both of those and your own compost. So again, you're going to want to make sure that you're using good soil to start with. And then that way you can always replenish it with more organic matter and different types of nutrients. And again, you know where your food's coming from. That's a big thing. That's a big trend for sure this year, knowing what you're eating and where it's from. So if you've got any questions about container gardening or raised beds or any of those things, please call the hotline. That hotline is 609-685-1880. Leave us a message and we'll get back to you to answer your question. We'll be right back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. We are proud to announce that Bloomers in the Garden has partnered with Renewal by Andersen of Greater Philadelphia, Delaware, South Jersey, and Southern Maryland. Renewal by Andersen is the top window and door company in the United States, specializing in replacement windows and doors. You might be thinking right now, what the heck do windows have to do with gardening? Well, Renewal by Andersen makes this beautiful garden bay window that's energy efficient and made from recycled materials. It's perfect for growing the finest indoor plants possible. When you are looking out your windows filled with with plants in your beautiful garden, you don't want to see old windows that are cloudy, warped, or even rotting. That's why people in the horticulture community love Renewal by Andersen. Not only do we want our gardens to be beautiful, but their homes as well. Renewal by Andersen participates in horticultural events such as flower shows, earth days, and eco fairs. To get more information and set up a free home consultation, please visit www.philadelphiawindow.com and be sure to tell them Bloomers in the Garden sent you. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, those Renewal by Andersen guys, they're going to be at the Philadelphia Flower Show, so make sure you let them know that you listen to Bloomers in the Garden. We appreciate that. How are your houseplants looking? Whoa. Okay. Do you have your poinsettias out? If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that we normally have beautiful, inspiring, pristine plants, but I brought my plants from my house. I do have a poinsettia that's still out. And how does that look on camera, Aaron? Looks all right? That it is starting, the poinsettia is starting to lose its luster. I'll tell you what, Aaron, if you can do a close-up inside where that center where the real flower is the center of the bracts, which are the modified leaves that have the color. They're all dropping out because, again, it's all right, it's not getting the best of care, okay? I water it when it's probably too dry. I should be watering it more timely. Inside leaves are all falling off, and all that's left are almost the bracts, but because it's from Bloomers, it's such a lovely poinsettia that is so full that you can't tell. I can only tell because I have to pick the stupid leaves up from the ground. And that's going to happen this time of the year. That's going to happen. I have a peace lily. I brought in the good one. I went to go grab one, and it was wilted over so bad that it wasn't happy. Let's just say it. I was embarrassed to bring it. But peace lilies are very forgiving. You can do that with them and let them dry out, and it's not going to really hurt them too bad. If you let it go too long or too often, you'll get some leaf damage. Let me see. Do we have any leaf damage on this? No, mostly all spent flowers. And that we do have leaf drop. Leaf drop's occurring because your house plants aren't getting the light they need. So what happens is that they say, hey, we can't get enough light to support all of these leaves. They're not producing any food. So we're going to drop some of them off, and we're going to just let them wither and die. Because, again, they're not producing anything for the plant. Now, peace lilies, fortunately, are forgiving, and they look, they're easy to take care of, and they usually look pretty good, even if they're under stress. But you may have some other plants that are doing this, like, for instance, ficus. Ficus do this all the time, and all of a sudden they look completely bare, and they look like a deciduous tree outside. Aaron, there's a leaf that I'm pulling off. It's like it's a little bit on the yellowish side, and you can tell it's not happy. It's not happy. A lot of times, some of your house plants, that they'll get like a water-soaked look in the leaf, and that peace lily is not much of a help with this. Did you see that tip? A lot of times that's from lack of humidity. That my stepson Shane, he has in his room where all of his plants are, he has a humidifier. And for the plants, not for himself. He has it for the plants, and I thought that was genius. My son Carl actually did the same thing. And that so you don't have to go and mist all the time. Misting is a big help. It raises the humidity. It's a real fight. Like right now, like it's been, what did you tell me it was this morning? 7 degrees by your house, Aaron?
Yep.
So I know it's 7 degrees here. I talked to my nephew, who runs Richfield Farms in Clifton, New Jersey. He said that he had 2 broken pipes, and it was 1 in Clifton just the other day. But they did get their their pansy plugs in, so they're starting to grow pansies. It's always good to hear. But 1 degree, I mean, it's cold. So your heat is cranking out. And if you have forced hot air heat, like I do at my house, it's making things dry. I mean, your sinuses are dry, and so are your plants. And they're dry just because they don't have that natural humidity around them. And misting is an important thing. And again, it's something you need to be aware of because you may get things on your plants that you don't recognize. It's not an insect. It's not a disease. It's just lack of humidity. And, here's a story. Bloomers built a brand new glass greenhouse, big glass greenhouse, and it had it's more radiant heating. And we didn't know what was going on with the plants. Now, the greenhouse was new, so we were just learning how to grow in it, if you would. And primarily, we didn't grow anything. Our saying is if we grew it, we've had it too long. That it was getting those water-soaked stain spots in the leaves, and it was from lack of moisture. And that we have a paver floor that's in there, and that we actually watered the floor to increase the humidity in the greenhouse and did the trick. We had no more issues that we were talking about as far as like from them drying out in a dry environment. Winter is dry anyway, outside. It's just plain dry. That again, like we talk about, our sinuses are dry, and there's all kinds of things going on. Once we get to spring, it's raining all the time, and it's not like the snow that we had is not like doing much. It basically melts so slow. It doesn't really add any humidity. So keep that in mind. Misting is important. Now, it's hard to resist fiddling with your houseplants. It's like, oh, the leaf, I don't know. Should I take it off? Should I leave it on? Or when should I water? If you're not sure that they need water or not, you take a little bit of the soil and you see if it's dry. If it's dry on the surface, within the first, half inch or so, you water it. Peace lilies are great because they'll wilt down and they'll look like they're dying, and then you water them, and then by that afternoon, they look fine. It's like nothing happened. The one thing with cleaning them is that you want to make sure that you don't have leaves on your soil. Like, for instance, this poinsettia, if you watch it on YouTube, please subscribe, ring that bell. See that handful there, Aaron? I mean, it is a handful of leaves that are sitting on the soil. I'm not a very good plant parent by leaving them there, but I also know, look, poinsettia after Christmas is disposable. And they're plants, not puppies. So again, euthanizing your plants if they're just not looking good and you're just not adding anything to your environment, sometimes it's better just to toss them out. Now, they will flush back out. A lot of times and it's mostly talking about ficus plants, for instance, like they will go and lose 50% of their leaves. That just keep them watered. Don't overwater them. Don't overwater any of your houseplants. If I had a choice, I would say keep them more on the dry side than on the wet side, because again, they're going dormant. The lack of wind, like they are, it's, oh gosh, how can I say it? Your houseplants this time of the year are like, you're waking them up every time you water them. If you're trying, oh God, please don't feed them. Don't feed them. They're trying to go dormant. Every time you try to feed them or do something, you're hitting the snooze alarm. Like, you're making it worse. So try to keep them a moist, and then let them go dry. Let them go moist, let them go dry, and go through that pattern. Because if they can't get rid of the moisture that you water them with, the roots are rotting and they're dying. So again, you want to get into a pattern. You need to develop that pattern on your own over time. So clean the leaves off of the soil. Try to keep them moist as they go dry. Give them as much sun as you can. And as we get more and more sun as we head into the spring season, that the humidity goes up. So things are happening. Things are going to be good. So we're going to be right back in the garden with the listener who told us about how he waters his plants. And that we'll talk about that right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood. Are you looking forward to a spring of vibrancy while using the best organically approved growing media for your annuals and vegetables? Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter has been created to set a diverse culture, ideal for germinating seeds and root cuttings. Created using the best ancient composting techniques and new age mixing devices, Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter gently combines kelp meal, worm castings, mycorrhiza, perlite, and sustainably harvested peat moss, establishing the most desirable setting to enhance new plant growth. Visit www.coastofmaine.com to locate one near you.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len. That's Aaron. And that's Sam. Shane back yet? Shane's eating lunch. Anyway, hey, we had a caller. He called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline, and that he shared what his watering schedule is on his houseplants. Here, listen to his call.
I had cactuses and houseplants. I water them every Wednesday. I water the houseplants, and once a month I water the cactus. My name is Ron Yolbrecht.
So Ron goes, and he's got it down to a science, because some people, when they water, and they're watering their cactus, and they're getting overwatered. They're watering their bromeliads. There's issues that they're having by overwatering because they're on a schedule. You really have to water when your plants need it, and that you'll develop a pattern. But like in our previous segment we just talked about, the amount of humidity that's in the air will determine how much you're going to need to water. So if, like we said, if it's dry, like now, and between the heat and just the plain weather of the winter, you're going to water more often. If it's in the, say, springtime, where we have a little more rain and you're inside, it gets a little more humid, you're not going to water as much. But certainly don't be watering all your cactus and your houseplants, because again, back in the 70s, I guess here, Wayback Machine, they were called tropical plants, and they still are tropical plants. But are bromeliads a tropical plant? Kind of, but they don't necessarily need as much water as, say, this peace lily that we have sitting here on the table. So again, check the surface of the soil. When it's dry, you water. You develop a pattern, and that you just need to check. And just because it's Wednesday doesn't necessarily mean that you water. But certainly, Ron has it straight, where you're not going to do your cactus every time you're watering. You're going to do it, once a month, as opposed to doing it every week. I hope that helps you out. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Here's the dirt on potting mixes. They're not all created equal. Espoma Organic Potting Mix gives roots the ideal balance of air and moisture. It contains a special blend of beneficial mycorrhiza to help grow stronger roots, bigger plants, and more bountiful blooms. Try Espoma Organic Potting Mix indoors and out for all your potted flowers, vegetables, and you'll see why it's the best. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you. Organic potting mix from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, another trend for 2025 is lived-in gardens. This is perfect for somebody like me who's wondering when his old clothes are in his closet are going to be fashionable again. I know, Kiana shirts. Do you know what that is? Where's Julio when you need him? Again. Kiana? No one? No one. I just saw Laura walk through. She would know. Anyway, Saturday Night Fever. That would be it. No? Look at you. Yeah.
Sorry,
you
man.
youngin'. You heck. At least pretend.
Yeah.
You've never seen Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta?
I've never watched the movie.
No?
Nope.
Well, all right.
I mean, I played some of the music from it, but I've never watched the movie.
Well, see, maybe you should find context. Anyway.
I'm good.
When that was out, I was too young to go into the movies to see it. So
Okay.
Gives you an idea. Made me feel young again. So what is this trend? Lived in gardens. It basically is a trend that has given you permission to not take care of your garden, to let it look a little overgrown, have some leaves on the ground. I'm not sure I like that one from a, horticultural standpoint, but from a design standpoint, I get it. It's a personal expression where instead of having perfect borders to where they're, sheared perfect, like a boxwood hedge, that's perfect, you let plants grow over onto the walkway. It's good because it's easier. It's given people a break. So often we deal with it's like, oh, well, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to make sure you trim that and then you got to do this. And with this, it's just kind of like let it grow, let it look old, like an old discovered garden, and that you go and you put ornaments in that garden that same way, to where instead of having a statue or a fountain that is like right up in front and that it's like everything's, nothing's blocking it, that you let a tree or a shrub or stuff over, like hide it a little bit so that it's just peeking through. And I like this. There's a house up in Lancaster County, and every time I go to get pumpkins, I see this house. And I think, where's Sam? Sam, you would know this. What's the house? Who was it that lived in the house that was like built into the ground? It's got like Lord of the Rings
Bilbo?
thing. What is it?
Bilbo Baggins and Frodo. They all lived in the Shire. The Hobbits.
And so it's like a little door that's in like a mound of dirt.
Yeah, the Hobbit hole. Yeah.
There you go. And it's like that. And I love that because it wasn't pretentious. It wasn't like, look at this. It's a great big fountain. It's a giant statue of David. It was just this little thing that was hidden, and they let a little bit of ground cover kind of hide the door a little bit, but you could see it. And it was just, that's the kind of thing that this trend is talking about. So again, it's lived in gardens, and it's not something that is having things that are so pristine and maintained that if, a flower's out of place, you see it. It's kind of like everything's out of place, and that it's more natural. And I love that because you can get weird. I mean, you can do that weird statue, that looks like it's, it's hidden. And I use this analogy. All right, Aaron, you get to redeem yourself. Indiana Jones, right?
Okay.
All right, you with me? Would always go and find these weird things that were, especially the first one where he gets the monkey head and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
That kind of same thing where it's hidden like underneath ivy or something that's growing on top of it, but it peers through and it looks like it's aged. It looks like it's old. Concrete statue that has like some moss growing on it or has some algae to it. You don't wipe it clean and try to power wash all the algae off. It's something that looks aged, and that's right up my alley because no jokes. Okay. All right. It's that way because it just looks like it's an heirloom type of piece. I have a zinc. Okay. It is a zinc statue that is from my parents' house that is from the 20s. And it's
Go Girl?
Huh?
The Go Girl?
No, the Go Girl is concrete.
Or the duck, the swan.
The trident.
Oh, the
The
okay,
trident with the fish and the light.
Yeah, I do remember saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all made out of zinc, and that where it's in that by my pond, and it kind of just fits in, and it's like it again lived in where it looks old because it is old, and it's supposed to look old. It's not supposed to be something like a show off. Look at me. It's kind of set back. It's real close to a Japanese maple. Those kind of things. You try to hide some things, and here's the thing: don't let some. It's for your own artistic expression, and don't be judged by any annoying master gardener next door that says, "Oh, you should really trim that." You should say, "No, this is a trend, didn't you know?" Anyway, don't let anybody tell you how to garden. If you like it, that's all that matters. We'll be back in the garden right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Are you looking forward to a spring of vibrancy while using the best organically approved growing media for your annuals and vegetables? Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter has been created to set a diverse culture ideal for germinating seeds and root cuttings. Created using the best ancient composting techniques and new age mixing devices, Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter gently combines kelp meal, worm casings, mycorrhizae, perlite, and sustainably harvested peat moss, establishing the most desirable setting to enhance new plant growth.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Well, welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Well, I'll tell you what. Lots of new trends that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks. But that last one I just love because it you're able to be artistic in your garden. It could be with plants or trees or what have you, but it also doesn't burden you with a maintenance issue that is just, I love roses, but they're maintenance. They need to have maintenance. But some of the trends that they were talking about, like the last one, is using plants that are just kind of self-sufficient and letting them go wild. Maybe you need to cut them back now and then just to keep them a little bit under control because they're too aggressive. But you cut them back in a way that people can't tell. Like you don't shear them to make them look like sheared hedges. And that's kind of what that whole lived-in garden is like. It also extends to actually like putting a setting, like a settee in the garden, someplace to sit to where, you're kind of hidden. Well, I appreciate you listening. If you go to your garden center, make sure you let them know that you listen to Bloomers in the Garden and on what station. We're going to see you right here next week at the same time. We'll see you in the garden.